We've come to your doorstep with our discussion, the negative side effect of psychoactive drugs or hard drugs. In our episode 1, we dealt into definition of psychoactive drugs. We look at what psychoactive drugs are, and we realize that psychoactive drugs are drugs or substances that when they are consumed and get to our system, they affect our brain and it distorts our normal brain functions. We are going to also realize in episode 1 that these drugs have the tendency to change our brain structure and then distort the functions of our brain. And not only that, they also affect our lungs, our heart, our liver, our kidney, and other vital organs in our system. We got to realize in episode 1 discussion that these drugs are very dangerous. They are very harmful, they are very poisonous, they are very toxic and detrimental to our entire system. Today, we are here to look at the nature of these hard drugs, these psychoactive drugs, which include alcohol, weed, or marijuana, shisha, hashish, amnesia, tramadol, cocaine, heroin, Colorado, cigarettes, and all sorts of hard drugs most of our youth have been indulging in. Now, the first point of call we look at is that these hard drugs are highly addictive in nature. The first point of call, that is it. These hard drugs are what? Highly addictive in nature. In a sense that if you consume these drugs into your system, like alcohol, weed, cocaine, tramadol, and others, these drugs have the tendency to cause excessive release of dopamine in our brain. And then the reward that this excess dopamine is released by the use of this drug into our brain can induce dependency, which may later on lead to what is called what? Addiction. That's drug addiction. So, when he says something is highly addictive in nature, what it means is that that particular substance has the tendency to induce addiction in you. So when you take these drugs, over time, you become addicted to them. Now, the second point we look at is that the tendency to shrink brain cell, which means when you consume this drug, over time, these drugs have the tendency, have the ability to shrink your brain cells, because the chemicals in the drug are so severe that the more you consume them into your system, the more damages you cause to your brain cells. Because the chemicals in them, the acid in them, make these drugs very poisonous to your brain. So when they get to your brain, they shrink the brain cells. And this may lead to a whole lot of psychological disorders, which we'll be looking at as we move ahead. The third nature or the characteristics that we look at is that they have inflammatory effect on the brain, and not only the brain but the other organs. What it means is that when you consume these drugs, the chemicals in these drugs are able to cause some chemical reaction in your brain, and this lead to inflammation of your brain. They inflame the brain because of the poisonous nature of the drug. The fourth point we look at is that these drugs have burning and corrosive effect. What it means is that when you consume these drugs, whether weed, cocaine, alcohol, shisha, amnesia, hashish, tramadol, these hard drugs, when you take them into your system, when you inject them into your system, they corrode, they wear off your brain tissue. They tear off your brain tissue. They react with your brain cells and eventually damage your brain. So viewers, like I said, we are here to bring to your notice, we are here to create the awareness of these dangerous drugs so that you make an informed decision. You don't fall a prey to these drugs. These drugs are causing damages to a lot of people. We shall look at them in our subsequent discussion. Get along with us. Thank you very much.